Hi everyone, and welcome to this introduction to web page design tutorial. We're going to be using Dreamweaver CS6. Don't worry if you're using a different version of Dreamweaver, you should still be able to follow along with this tutorial. Now when we think of web page design, it's always nice to go and have a look at an example so we can kind of see what we will be doing ourselves. So I'm going to show you the BBC's homepage. As you can see, the layout is very clear. At the top of the page we have a whole bunch of links here in one row, and then we have another row with a big kind of image container here, and then a side image with some text. So this row has been broken into two columns. Then we have another row here which has also been broken into different columns. There's a column here, there's a column here, there's another one, and a buffalo! How wonderful. So it looks like the BBC has decided to design their web pages by creating rows and columns. And to me, that kind of reminds me of a table. For example, if I go into Microsoft Word, and I go to Insert Table, I can choose how many columns I want and how many rows I want. And here I've got a table with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. So this kind of idea is what the BBC seems to be doing with its homepage. In fact, to get a better idea of that, let's just remove the images and the text. And this shows us the structure or the layout of the BBC's web page. There's a row at the top which has been broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 columns. One row, 11 columns. Next one row, 2 columns. 1, 2. The next one row, 2 columns. 1, 2, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to be using this strategy for developing layout for our web page in this introduction. So before we get into Dreamweaver, I'm just going to show you my own layout idea for what we will be doing in this tutorial. I went into Microsoft Paint and I just thought to myself, okay, I'm going to come up with my own idea, and here it is. This is one row, this is row number 2, this is row number 3, and this is row number 4. Row number 1 has been broken into 2 columns, 1, 2. Row number 2 has been broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Row number 3 has been broken into 2 columns. And row number 4 is just one long column. So this is the layout idea that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So please follow along, or you can create your own layout idea. Okay, let's get to Dreamweaver. I'm going to create a new HTML file. Here it is. And the first thing I'm going to do is save it in my project folder. I've already set up a project folder. Please make sure you do too. And I'm going to give it a file name of index. And this is just another way of saying home page if you're a web designer. Index. So this is my index.html file. At the moment it is empty, but I'm going to insert a table. And my table has 4 rows and 1 column. And the table width is going to be 100%, which means it will fill 100% of the web browser window when we run it. Okay. So here we've got a table with 4 columns. Sorry, with 4 rows. This one here is row number 1. This is row number 2. This is row number 3. And this one here is row number 4. Okay, just to make that very clear, I'm just going to change the colors of these rows. There's row number 1. There's row number 2. There's row number 3. And there's row number 4. Okay, so it's quite clear that I have a table with 4 rows. If we go into live view, this is what it looks like in a web browser. Okay, another way of doing that is, let's just turn off live view, is to click here and go to preview in Chrome. I'm using Google Chrome, and this is what it looks like in Google Chrome. This is my web page. So back in Dreamweaver, I'm going to start to develop my layout idea. Remember, in the first row, I decided that I would have 2 columns, one for my logo and one for my banner. So in Dreamweaver, in row 1, I'm going to insert another table, which has 1 row and 2 columns, one for my logo and one for my banner. And if we just stretch that out, we can kind of see what's going on. So here we've got a new table with 2 columns. This is going to be for my logo, and this is going to be for my banner. Right, row 2, this is row 2 here, has 5 columns, and I'm going to have 5 links in here. Link 1, link 2, link 3, link 4, link 5. But it's 1 row and 5 columns. So again, in row 2, just going to delete that text, I'm going to insert a table that has 1 row and 5 columns. I'm just going to stretch that out, and there we have it. These are all the different columns in our row. We've got 5 of them, and we'll be adding content to that later. Row number 3 was 1 row with 2 columns. So I'm going to insert a table that has 1 row and 2 columns. And we'll just stretch that out so we can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to make this one a bit fatter. There you go. So it kind of looks like my design. This was quite a fat one. This is for the information, and this is for the image. And my final row at the bottom of my web page was just 1 column for the footer. And I think we already have that. If I go back to Dreamweaver, this is it. This is for the footer. So that's for the footer. That's for the information. This is for some image. This one here was for link 1. This was for, don't worry if things start to resize. It'll all make sense later when we put content in. Link 2, link 3, link 4, link 5. This was for my logo. And this was for my banner. So, I'm now starting to recreate this design into Dreamweaver. So we're going to leave that there for now. See if you can create something in Dreamweaver. You can copy my design if you want. Before we finish today, I'm just going to show you how to make a logo, or an idea for making a logo. I'm going to do this in Photoshop. Now, before I go to Photoshop, this area here, let's go back to my design, is a little square. It's just a square. The width is the same as the height. That's what a square is. So this is just going to be a little square at the top of my web page. I don't know how high it's going to be. I haven't decided yet, but it's definitely going to be a little square. Now then, let's go to Photoshop. And I'm going to make a new square. Now, how big should this square be? The width and the height are going to be the same, but how big are we going to make it? I'm just going to go with 500 by 500 pixels. And let's start to put in some design. I'm going to go, let's call it my web page. And we're just going to transform that. And I'm going to take the line tool. I'm just going to put a line under there. And just going to take that line, which is shape 1, just going to rename that line. I'm then going to go back to the, see if I can find the custom shapes. Here we go, custom shapes. I'm going to choose one. In fact, that looked like a good one. That was a good one. I'm going to drag out a custom shape. What can I do with that? I'm going to come down to the layers panel, to the FX. I'm going to add a stroke. Bingo. Change that color to kind of dark green. And I'm going to change the size of it. Let's position it on the inside. And we'll add a drop shadow as well. Just kind of play with these different settings until I find something that looks good for me. That's fine. On the line layer, just going to move that up. And on shape 1 is my star, so I'm just going to rename that layer. Just drag that up. Brilliant. That's fine. And now I'm going to File, Save As a JPEG, which is a picture file. I'm going to call it Logo, and I'm going to save it in my web design project folder, which I called my web project. Now I'm going to make a new folder here called images, because that's where I'm going to store all of the images for my web page. So in my images folder, I'm going to store logo.jpg. And back in Dreamweaver, I'm going to come into my logo cell, just get rid of that text, insert my image. In the images folder, it's logo. Okay. Okay. Gonna make that bigger. And I'm gonna go to live. And that is currently what my web page looks like. So see if you can create the layout of a web page and then start to put some content into the different cells. Thank you.